We're Laura and Cindy, and you're listening to the Holistic Horsemanship and Husbandry podcast, where we talk about natural horsekeeping and deepening your connection with your horse. I'm Laura, your horse care mentor. I teach natural horse management practices after working with over 200 horses and seeing how current industry standards are compromising the health of the horse.
And I'm Cindy, your horsemanship mentor, offering a proven and unique approach to creating deep connections with your horses from 20 plus years of experience, including working with wild Mustangs. If you enjoy this conversation, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to us so we can get this podcast into the ears of more passionate horse people.
So many of you know that Cindy has been living in her liminal realm for quite a while now. And in that liminal realm, she has birthed some fairly impressive works. And at the time that this podcast is going to post, if all the stars align, which it sure looks like they're going to, she is going to have exited her liminal realm and be stepping into her new life. So this is a celebratory, exciting episode for her to share her new works and her new space with us.
Wow. You know, when I think about how long I've been in this liminal realm, it was January of 2025 that I had my astrologer and the gal that does my tarot reading. I have a tarot reading done at the beginning of every year, just kind of letting me know what the theme is. They both mentioned the liminal realm, and I was like, the what? And little did I know that that was going to be a deep dive into what the liminal realm is, which, for those of you who have not heard that term before, it's basically not the present and not the future. So for me, it kind of feels like the present moment, but it's a layer deeper than that. It's not only the present moment, but it's where your past no longer works for you. And yet you can feel it. You can feel like you're ready for something more. And it's funny how the universe works, because things that were working kind of stop working. Like the clients slow down, the horses are asking for more or for different, and you just feel it in your inner soul, like this just, it's a restlessness kind of, you know? And yet you don't know what's next. You know, for a lot of us, we have a dream, you know, like, wouldn't it be amazing, or someday I will. But I didn't really understand the depth of it. So I'm just kind of laying the groundwork for you guys. In September of 2024, I was out um, in the evening, filling up my water trough, sitting in one of the pastures with my little orange kitty. And I was just marveling at the beautiful valley. We had an amazing view of the Carson Valley. And I was just sitting there thinking, God, this is so beautiful. And I even took a picture of me, my feet, my kitty next to me, and the valley, you know. And then I heard that small, quiet voice that I've become very familiar with, that said, "It is beautiful and it's time to go." And I was like, what? And it was like, "You've outgrown this valley. It's time to go." And I was like, oh, where will I go? I mean, it resonated. It felt scary as heck, but it resonated. And I'm like, well, where will I go? Where will we go? And the answer was California. And we left California in 99. No, we left California in 2014. And I was like, oh, no way. We're not going back to California. But the more that my husband and then I brought it up to my husband later and we talked about it. And the more we talked about it, we loved the California weather. We both grew up there. And it just, as we get older, we're tired of the snow and the wind and the cold and the blah, 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 blah. So we're like, all right, California, here we come. So now in January, I hear about the liminal realm. And then April, we thought we'd aim for 2026 to start looking and making the move, not 2025. Well, in April of 2025, our landlord said, "Oh, by the way, we're not renewing your lease. You have 4 months to move. Two businesses, 11 horses, and a huge house worth of stuff." And so that was a deep dive into the liminal realm and a lot of chaos internally and externally. Um, and in the process, I had started writing my second book called Where the Hoof Prints Lead, which it's funny, Laura, how all these things start aligning and you don't even realize that they're all connected and they all are feeding into a path, right?
Because usually when it starts, you're stuck back in that mental space of the resistance and the universe is giving you a bajillion no's. And you're like, why is this not working? And you're so focused on that that you don't even feel the alignment starting to align until you're
Yep.
way, way in it.
Yeah. Because where the hoof prints lead is all about basically the first book I wrote was um, Breaking the Chains Within, finding inner peace through the wisdom of the herd. And um,
Available on Amazon and anywhere else you may ever need to buy a book. Just throwing that out
yes,
there. Yeah.
so if you want to check it out, please do. Leave me a review if you like it. Um, I didn't ever plan on writing the second book, but all of a sudden, during around the same, you're going to to move to California, things aren't working. I got the hit that it was time to write my second book called Where the Hoofprints Lead. I'm like, that's kind of a weird name. Like, what the heck does that mean? You know? And what it ended up being, long story short, it is the journey that I personally, along with my horses, have gone through over kind of like 2024, September 2024 to the beginning of this year. And it's storytelling. It's much in the same context as Breaking the Chains Within. It's telling you about my story and the reflections and how the horses have been my, gosh, if not my main, right up there in the top, teachers, guides, and healers. And at the end of every chapter is reflective questioning, so that my intent was that it hopefully resonates with the readers in a way that it helps them get to dig deeper into who am I, what am I here for, what makes my heart sing. And I love horses. How can horses help facilitate this? So this isn't just for people with horses, it's for anyone who is drawn to the energy of horses. It is going to be released on May 9th, give or take a few. So that's super exciting.
Just for anybody who doesn't have their calendar in their head, that means it's already out.
No. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Cindy also
Sorry.
doesn't have her calendar in her head. She's
I'm
taking it day by day.
I'm on the tail end of the liminal realm, people.
Yes.
So, and the reason I don't have my head completely in the game, thank God Laura does, is we're in the process of closing escrow for a 17-acre ranch in Cottonwood, California, which when we decided we were going back to California, we were drawn to Cottonwood um, for many reasons, but the weather and the foothills. We both grew up, well, Bruce grew up by the coast in Monterey. I grew up in the foothills of the Bay Area, and we love the foothills, but we don't want to go back to the chaos and overpopulated
Yeah, too
part.
many people love the foothills.
Yeah. So Cottonwood, Redding, Red Bluff is an area that's still pretty rural. Um, like I don't have super great cell service there. That's how rural we are. Um, but it's spectacular. It's everything that I have always dreamed of. And it's funny how when we're dreaming, we don't know what we're looking for, right? We just have this thing in our mind and our hearts that this is what I want. And we put pictures to it. I've learned that it's best to put like soft details.
Yeah.
Like, I want an arena, I want some stalls, and pastures are really important to me. My Mustangs, who most of them were had the opportunity to live at least 3 years in the wild. So they got to roam, they got to roll in water, they got to sleep under shady trees, you know? And so I have a couple when it's really, really hot, they play in the water trough. And Dreamcatcher, my main mare that does my equine facilitated transformational work with me, she will like bury her head all the way into the trough up to her eyes, and then she does that movement with her front legs like they do when they want to lay down. And, and it just breaks my heart because I know exactly what she wants. She remembers the day, right? When she could roll in a creek,
Yeah.
or a river. So I wanted something that had water on it, and some of the places that we looked at, it was like they had ponds, right? And it's like, well, do you know what's in the bottom of that pond? And like in that area, a lot of them were bentonite clay. And this time of the year, we should all have bentonite clay in a plastic container with a wooden stir stick and a bottle of water if you're around rattlesnakes, because you or your horse or anybody gets bit by a rattlesnake, you mix that up into a paste and you put it on those bites right away. It's life saving, but it's also very thick. It's not what you want your horse walking into the pond of. So then I realized, ooh, maybe a pond isn't going to be the best thing. Um, because a natural pond, you don't get to pick what's on the bottom. And a man-made pond, I don't know if that's any better,
Well, that's like
right?
I think it's a whole thing. You gotta have a pond guy and a pond
Yeah,
knowledge. But
right. I mean, you can't just put like plastic lining down and fill
right.
up a hole, you
And let your
know?
horse stomp all over it. Yeah, yeah.
So, we actually have spent a year looking, and in that year, we did vacate the property at the end of last summer, beginning of fall, and we couldn't find anywhere. So, we had some friends that loaned us a 29-foot, which equals 300 square feet, RV, and my husband and I, and two dogs and three cats, two of which were my barn cats. One was very wild, have been living in that. And we've been operating our business out of this little tiny thing, our businesses. And my horses are an hour away. So I go every day. I take 5 hours every afternoon and go care for my horses, because for me, getting rid of any of them was not an option, and thank God my family was like, no, you would not be complete. We have to make this work, you
Yeah.
know. My kids, my husband, my friends. Another thing I found out is who your true friends are in a time like this, which was another hard lesson. But remember, I'm in the liminal realm, right?
Mhm.
Learning to accept that I have to let go of things in the past. Some things were easy to let go, and some things were like, all right. And other things were heartbreaking to let go of, but you have to let go in order to be able to be present and move into your dream. So we found our place um, the end of March, and like I said, it's 17 acres. It has a seasonal creek across the front of the property. It's got 5 pastures, all very good sized pastures. Um, my horses will have the ability to graze and be out, which they've all been confined to small pens for 8 months. They're mentally and emotionally ready
Mhm.
to move on. They've been great, even my wilds. Um, my little Asha, who's a spicy redhead, she's pretty done. She picks on Apache that she lives with. She's starting to pin her ears at us and want to snake us away. And I don't get mad at her. I
No,
can't.
that's just a stress response.
Yep,
That's
she's
such an
just,
important awareness for people to have.
and it's high winds out where they're at. Like I was telling Laura, we've had 15 to 25-mile-per-hour winds every day for the past 14 days, and fluctuation in weather. Like tonight, it's going to be in the mid 20s. Last week, we were in the low 70s and upper 40s at
Right.
night.
Yeah.
So they're going through that change. So she's done, and I tell her every day, it's almost over, baby girl. Um, and it's got a indoor arena, an outdoor arena. It's got box stalls, which I'm not a fan of box stalls. We're going to bump those out. I'll keep a couple. There's two foaling stalls, which are really big, which are great for rehabbing. I'll keep those. But the others I'm going to bump out and make stall and paddocks because I want to bring some boarders in to be able to share this facility with us. And so we have 4 pastures for our horses and a 5th pasture that I'm going to turn into the pasture for my boarders. Um, and yeah, if all goes well, by the time we post this episode, we will be settling in. The horses will be there. We'll all be there, and I'm still learning about this liminal realm present moment thing because I'm not entirely sure that we aren't always in some degree or another in that liminal realm
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because it is the present moment and we always have choices to hang on to the past in this moment, or do I want to let that go because there might be something more aligned with me that I'm preventing from happening because I'm stuck in my ways. I I'm comfortable. I don't like change. I like routine. Some of that's good to a degree, but it becomes a problem. So I will be settling in, and the future will now be my present,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be creating my future there, getting known in my community, reaching out to the horse community, which I'm already doing. But I'm bringing something different to that area, a more spiritually based, intuitive way of engaging with horses. I mean, I still teach all my horsemanship skills, but the approach is a more heart centered, intuitive partnership and
The presence with
relationship.
which you execute those skills matters so much. And that
Mm-hmm.
is what you're teaching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, I want to do retreats and I want to do individual work and I want to work with women that have horses and I want to work with women that don't with my amazing herd who I'm really, Laura, anxious to see how. I mean, I kind of like want a designated person on the day that we move them all there to video, because I'm going to be the nervous mama. Like, there's
Yes.
fences. You're not
Yes.
in wide open spaces. I can't walk you all on your 6-acre pastures. You know, just know there's fences out there. But I'm so excited. I think about it all the time on what it's going to feel like to see them turned out into their pastures after being what we've all been through for the last, almost year.
You know what's crazy? As you're talking, I'm realizing it's going to be dang close to exactly a year from when we moved MJ and Ramia.
Oh, wow.
And I remember exactly that feeling of just like the anxiety was like built. Moving horses is stressful.
Yeah.
And the anxiety just built in me. And, I was using my tools and dissipating it, and knowing that it was, it doesn't help your horses at all when you're like, hey, get on the trailer. Can you feel this insane pit of anxiety coming from my stomach as we step into the unknown together? Like,
And I'm telling you, it's okay. You can trust
it's fine, just
me.
get on the trailer, damn it. And the
Yeah.
horses, like, they loaded.
Ready to unlock true freedom with your horse? Join Unbridled Freedom, our private Facebook group for women on a spiritual journey in horsemanship. We don't fix our horses, we transform ourselves. This is your space to embrace challenges, celebrate victories, and deepen your bond with your horse. If you're ready to lead with wisdom, compassion, and inner peace, join us today. Let's dance with our horses as one. The link is in the show notes below.
Like, even though neither one of those horses had been anywhere in a year and a half because both of us had had babies and we had been just doing the bare minimum, they loaded on the trailer. And as soon as they walked off the trailer and relaxed, my whole system went, oh, they're gonna be fine. I don't know. There was just something about the energy of the shift in their energy coming off the trailer into the new space
Yeah.
was just, whoa. And yeah, capturing that on video is a must. Even
Yeah.
if you just jam a tripod in the corner of the driveway and see what it gets.
Well, there's two pastures. We have a long driveway. It's gated, and we have a long driveway. And on both sides of the driveway are the pastures that have the creek that runs through it. And that's where I'm going to put my wilds because it's got rocks. So it's a seasonal creek. So while their hooves have not been naturally trimming themselves, I'm halfway thinking about I'm either going to feed them on the roadside of the pasture, so they have to go through the gravel and then their water will be up by the house. Or I'm kind of thinking about spreading their hay out in the rock.
Yeah.
So they have to walk through the rock and start trimming those hoofs back down. But it's an experience right now, you guys, because thank God we own a veterinary practice and I'm a vet tech. And so I'm able to do all my Coggins and my health certificates and my drawing
Oh
of
my
my
God,
blood
times 11.
times 11. So I have been taking, it took me 2 evenings to get all of the Coggins done. And then it took me just an evening to get all the lab forms done. And then soon, as soon as we know it's go time, I'll go out and draw blood on everybody. But I've had to gather 4 friends with horses, horse trailers, so that we will have a caravan of 5 trailers. Rocky, my main squeeze, is not out with all these horses. He's at a place here locally at a private home. He won't go when everybody else goes because he's well cared for and loved. So we'll take him the following weekend. But we will take all 10 horses, 4 of which are wild. So I'm showing up at 4:30 in the morning so that everybody gets breakfast so that when the horse trailers show up at 6:30, we can load up the back of pickups with stuff and then load horses. And it's a 4-hour drive, not hauling. So it's going to be more like probably a 5-hour drive, maybe 5.5, because every 2 to 4 hours they say you need to stop for 20 minutes and let them just chill. And so we'll strategically plan that for Starbucks and gas and lunch.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do not like to move horses without them having at least 4 to 5 hours of daylight before the sun sets. Laura and I have actually done an episode on relocating them, and how, we worry about them going through the fence and all that. But they get in the trailer, the ones that have trailered before. Actually, they've all trailered now. But they get in the trailer, they have no idea they're not coming back.
Right.
So, and they have no idea that they're going to be in the trailer for 4 to 5.5 hours. And then the smells change along the way.
Mhm.
And then they get to this new place and you put them out in this beautiful pastures. I mean, it's something I've always dreamed of, but for them, they're going to see the wide open spaces and hopefully they're going to go, "Wow, right? This is amazing." But they're also going to be like, these are unfamiliar smells, these are unfamiliar sights, these are unfamiliar sounds. Where am I? And if they don't have that 4 to 5 hours to settle into their environment, to know their fence lines, to know where their water is, to know that they're cared for, and sun sets and it gets dark, they don't know what predators are out there. They don't know what danger there is. You know, they still have coyotes like we do. They, where they're at now, doesn't have bobcat, but where they came from did. And they had mountain lions where we came from and where we're going. They have bobcats and mountain lions. So it's really important that this is planned strategically.
Cindy also planned something else strategically that is very, very important to mention because she's saying pasture, but those pastures are going to be dried up dead grass by the time she gets there. She is not releasing 11 horses onto 17 acres of lush green grass because that is a recipe to make horses very, very sick. And, the universe works in crazy ways and set it up so that this could happen. But if this wasn't happening, she would have to be confining those horses and slowly exposing them and going through the whole 9 yards of introducing them slowly to that lush green grass.
Yeah, it would be quite difficult. And we need for California to stop getting rain. Okay. I know you guys had some last week and this week. You need to stop.
I think we're going to get another sprinkling, but we have also had such a dry
You
winter,
haven't had a lot, right?
that I think like our grasses were like working on dying.
We'll see where
Right.
these guys were. I mean, where this place is, everything was very green, but he has horses on it.
Oh, that's super helpful. Yeah.
So they're helping to eat it down.
Yeah.
And we should be arriving on May 30th. So if it's green, it's not it's not high in sugar content green like spring grass is because we're closer to summer than we are the beginning of spring. So I'm hoping that that will be fine. And I will also, you guys, they will also be, even though they're heavy right now and they don't need it, they will also be getting hay twice a day
Very important.
because they're going to eat their hay
Yes.
and they're going to graze on the grass. So I'm not going to turn them out and go, "Oh, I'm only going to feed you once a day because you have plenty of grass to eat." I don't, one, want them to eat the pastures down to barren before I can divide it into 8 pastures to keep all my pastures healthy, nor do I want them to eat all the grass and get.
Yes. So what's commonly misunderstood is that like a very sick, quote unquote, laminitic horse, it's not like it's more to do with the ratios of forage and sugar in the gut and the inflammation that a bad ratio creates in the body and less to do with the actual amount of sugar. So that is why, like, we don't actually want to, if your horse is getting exposed to a ton of grass, we do not want to limit hay. We want them, a well-resourced horse will make good decisions, which means they will eat that hay and nibble on the grass. They don't have that long stem forage to nibble on. That's where you get that imbalance of microbiota in the gut, too much sugar, and then the inflammation flying through the body. Very sick horse.
And I don't know when the episode was. I feel like I was still at the old ranch. So it had to have been August of 2025 or prior that we were kind of having this. It might have been spring. Might have been
Probably
spring
was.
of
Yeah, last spring.
2025.
Yeah.
But it was also the time you were getting ready to move your horses. And you brought up a concept that I hadn't heard that makes total sense that I actually have shared with several of my clients since then, and actually even some professionals about, and I can't exactly remember what you called it, so correct me as I spit it out. The way that I interpreted it was starvation mentality
Oh yeah, starvation syndrome.
syndrome,
Yeah,
and that we create that in our domestic horses. See,
yeah.
my Mustangs, my milds or Mustangs, period, I don't worry about as much as I do my domestics. And thank God I only have two of them. Well, Harry, I guess Harry and Katniss. Okay, I have four, even though two are Mustangs, they were orphaned Mustangs. So share that, Laura, because that's going into that is part of the reason my horses will still be fed morning and night.
Yes. So, as we've said in like many different arenas and conversations, a well-resourced horse will make good decisions. Well, that's just not in what they eat, it's in how they eat. So, a horse that has had consistent, they're designed to digest 18 hours a day, 16 to 18 hours a day. A horse that has had access to food 16 to 18 hours a day its whole life is going to eat and listen to their body and eat an appropriate amount. A horse that is fed morning and night and goes many long hours without food is going to gorge on that food because their brain doesn't know when their next meal is coming and they think, I need to eat as much as I can now to get it in. And you go through a process of having a horse that maybe is gorging on themselves, but you can slowly transition that horse, which we did with our horses. MJ was very fat in September, and I was a little stressy, but I stuck with it because I knew that she was figuring it out. And she's excellent weight now, no concerns.
Yeah.
And again, I was a little strategic, and the universe helped me out with the time of year that we did all that. But I do have a whole course on overcoming starvation syndrome, and I will drop the link in this episode along with Cindy's book.
Perfect.
Yep.
Because, my horses having gone from pastures to pens and then coming into winter, and some of them didn't have shelters. Not my choice. Lost many of nights of sleep over stress, guilt, worry, shame. Um, they got more food than they needed
Mm.
physically so they could withstand the elements, and emotionally so they could cope with being confined. So I have some that look great and some that are too fat. And I think about it every time I look at them, but I'm not as worried about it because I know as soon as they get out to pasture, they're gonna balance themselves out. But that starvation syndrome is something we should all think about it, because we are asking horses to live with us and acquiesce to our lifestyles. And these domestic horses, they don't know. They count on us to feed them, and we feed them not in their favor.
Yep.
So it's something to think about. And that's why, the feeding 3 times a day is helpful. The track pasture systems are helpful. There's a lot of things that we can do to help our domestic horses, and that this is what I'm going to be doing, is be giving them feed twice a day. Now I'm not going to be giving a ton of it, but I want them to know that their food is coming, and the grazing that is just the meandering, enjoying life days. And I don't want them to overgraze my pastures. The other thing that I want to share that I'm doing at this ranch is that my horses will be living in pasture. And my wilds still need to be gentled. And my others will be worked with regularly, and we'll be doing sessions and, uh, coaching. And so they'll all be back to work, hopefully. So every one of my pastures will still have what we call a catch pen. And they'll be, either 36 by 72 or 36 by 36, depending on the number of horses I have in each pasture. They will have a shelter in there. And as we get them up, they will be fed in there. So they come down every night, they eat, I'll lock them up, and they'll be back out during the day. The reason I do that is there's predators out at night. And when the grass is changing and it's not a good thing for them to be eating all the time, I have the ability to control how much grass they're taking in. Plus, I want them, it's called a catch pen for a reason. I don't want to have to go out on 6 acres and find the horse I want. I can keep the one that I want that I'm going to work with, turn the rest loose, and when that one's done, he can be turned loose, or I can keep them all up if the farrier's coming, so.
Especially when you have horses that are wild and like you can't guarantee that you will be able to walk out on that 6 acres and catch them, even if you wanted to. It's really important management to have their brains used to coming up and being close and being around.
And being locked up.
Yeah.
When the creek rises and my wilds are there, sometimes the creek rises to the top of the road, doesn't go over the road, but comes to the top. And that's pretty high. That's like 5 feet up. I don't want it recedes in 2 to 3 hours, but I don't want my horses in that, so they're going to be locked up when we know there's a storm coming. So the catch pens are really, really, really handy.
Okay, Cindy, to wrap us up, I just want you to take a minute and think about the work that you're birthing, the message of the book, the retreats, your whole new life. And I want you to share with us one dream that you have for this new space of yours.
The dream that I have is that it becomes a sanctuary for my husband and I and all of our animals, all of our horses, but also a sanctuary where women and horses come to discover what it feels like to have inner peace and a relationship with others through that place. And it's coming true.
So if you have any questions about the topics covered in this episode, send us a message on our Facebook page, Holistic Horsemanship and Husbandry, and we will answer your question in a post on our page. You will be anonymous. We'll just take the question and provide our input, and we want to do it on the post so that we can all learn and grow together, because nobody knows everything. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. We want to remind you that we'll be here every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, following the golden rule. Have a plan, but always be willing to be flexible. Don't forget to connect with us using the links in the show notes below.
If you learned something new today, had an aha, or walked away with a valuable nugget, you can say thanks by leaving us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on.